Good morning. The reading today is going to be from James chapter 1, verses 1 through 11, if you want to follow with me. I'd like to tell you a little bit about what's going on before we start reading. James, this is actually a letter they believe from James, at a time when the country that he is from is in turmoil. And it's not so unlike our world today. The people who are poor and oppressed have been held back. They aren't allowed to participate in the social aspects, and he's trying to strengthen them and give them faith that God still loves them and that there's hope. And so that's where we are. James, a bondservant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith, with no doubting, for he who doubts is like a wave of the sea driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. Let the lowly brother glory in his exaltation, but the rich in his humiliation, because as a flower of the field he will pass away. For no sooner has the sun risen with a burning heat than it withers with grass. Its flowers fall, its beautiful appearance perishes, so the rich man will also fade with his pursuits. This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. When I got called upon to speak today, I was in the middle of a lot of things, but I had put things aside to help with the clothing giveaway. And if you haven't done that before, it's an amazing gift. It's very humbling, and the people are very gracious and kind. And I want to say that it was truly my pleasure to help with the clothing giveaway, and I appreciate all of the efforts of everyone in the church that donated, that came and worked, and that was a part of the clothing giveaway. It was very successful. It was this last Friday. It was a lot of fun. Some of us kind of dress up in some of the clothes, and it's, we just have a good time. There's some kind of strange things that come in that I can't imagine anybody wearing, but anyway, I guess that's why they're in the clothing giveaway, right? So my sermon today is on the Wild Kingdom, and I'm going to age myself a little bit. How many know who Marlin Perkins is? Yay. Yeah, Marlin Perkins, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. When I was a child, we had one television in our house, and when Marlin Perkins was coming on, everybody was in front of it because it connected us to another part of the world that I never dreamed I would ever see, with animals and people and cultures and things that I had never heard of, and nothing bad ever happened. It was always this loving, kind, and children and all of that. And then along came Jack Hanna. Do you know who Jack Hanna is? Jack Hanna and Johnny Carson. That was the best. When Jack Hanna brought these wild animals onto Johnny Carson's show, and Johnny Carson was scared. Do you know who Johnny Carson is? I'm sorry. You know who Johnny Carson is, right? And Johnny Carson would start sweating before Jack Hanna ever came out. It was like he didn't want to introduce him because there sometimes not some great things happened with those animals. They would climb on Johnny, and yeah, it was probably part of the show, but it was good. But it was truly a wild kingdom, when that started happening. And then there was, what's the gentleman's name that was from Australia? See, I'm not as old as I thought I was. So when he came about, he literally died in his line of work in the Wild Kingdom that he introduced himself to. And everybody says, well, what was he thinking? Well, he thought he was going to get in the water and come back out, obviously, or he wouldn't have got in the water. And so now we see all of these shows about people who go into the backwoods of foreign countries to these wild kingdoms to meet people who do crazy things and animals. And so now there's still not a reality show anymore like this, because none of us, I don't think, would go out there like that into that wild kingdom unprepared with supposedly no weapons and nothing but a camera and attempt this, right? Because we're not going to go out there without the right equipment to help us. We're not going to go into the wild kingdom without what we need to survive. That was the beauty of having it brought to us on television. Now, the Trials of Life series, does anybody remember those? That's where we actually got to see the animals eat each other, okay? They would chase each other across the screen, grab them by the hind legs, pull them down, and you're sitting there going, I don't think I needed to see that part. I think I could have passed on the Trials of Life videos. But it was very forthcoming later in life for me to see that animals eat their own. Animals rip each other apart. Animals destroy each other, not only for food, but for a place in the system, for a place to be. They destroy each other, alike or unlike, they do it. The trials of life continue today. As I stood in the clothing giveaway and watched people come through that I've known since I moved to Clarksville a long time ago, 22 years ago, that are now here seeking free clothing because they have 7 children and didn't graduate from high school. Okay? Those are some of the people that we're serving. So if you doubt that the people who are coming to get the clothes really need them, they're suffering the trials of life. I asked the woman that I know, do you go to church anywhere? And she said, the only time I go to church is when I come here to get clothes. She's unchurched, but she knows to come to us for help. I invited her to our church, and she said, but we don't go to church. Well, you don't have to go to church. Just come to church. Then you'll start going to church. See, that's how it works. I'm going to invite you, and you come and sit, and then you decide if you want to come back. But don't just come because you don't think you fit in. Don't just come because you don't think you're like the others. But see, she's struggling with the trials of life and doesn't have her survival kit with her. She doesn't have like Christians with her in order to help her. She's struggling with the trials of life in a wild kingdom. As I was reading the Bible this week, and I saw little excerpts of people getting slapped with fish and having shoes thrown at them, and I thought, we live in a pretty calm world right now. I haven't been slapped with a fish lately, and I haven't had anybody throw a shoe at me, so I'm thinking, don't anybody bend over because you're going to make me nervous. No shoe grabbing. You know, I thought, you know, we live in a pretty civilized world, but we've gone one step beyond that to destroy each other. We destroy each other with words. We destroy each other with harmful things that are said. We destroy each other in a lot of different ways, and sometimes we self-destruct. That's what I was doing before I became a Christian. I was self-destructing. I was destroying my own kingdom because I wasn't happy in it. I was eating myself alive because I didn't have my survival kit. I didn't have, like Christians, I didn't have faith in God, and I didn't have Christ in my life. That's my survival kit now. Now, if I could give those things to Jack Hanna, it probably would have been a whip, a hat, and a good hold on Johnny Carson's arm going, don't run away from me, don't leave me out here with these animals. It was so funny to watch back then, to watch the reactions of people when these wild animals would come out onto the stage. But having stood down there in the clothing giveaway, I had to think about how those people deal with it day to day when they go out into the world. The people who are unchurched, who have not been invited or refuse to come for whatever reason, whether they feel guilty or they don't feel comfortable or they don't understand, how in the world are they surviving today? How do you make it through the day? What is your survival kit? Do you just take whatever happens as it comes in the morning? Who do you go to when you have a problem, when you don't have God? How do you survive that? And I look back at my own life and I often wonder myself how I got through all of the things that I went through as a child and into my adulthood, but I know that God was with me the entire time. Just because I did not recognize him doesn't mean he wasn't there. I just didn't choose to pick up that survival kit and use it until later in life. The trials of life today that are eating us apart are different for every one of us, and we create our own wild kingdom often. Perhaps I'll give you some of my wild kingdom animals that live in my community, my kingdom, and tear me apart, okay? My temptations are drug addiction, alcoholism, inappropriate behavior, inappropriate language. That's my wild kingdom. Those are things that go on inside of me every day that I struggle with, that I have to have a survival kit in order Oh, and a little bit of road rage, in order to keep that under control. I don't have road rage to the point where I'm going to honk and do any hand gestures, make you the #1 fan today. I'm just the one that sits in my car, like slapping the steering wheel going, why don't you go? You know, that kind of road rage. Anyway, those are my trials of life in my private kingdom that you're probably not aware of. Now, most of you who know me really well know that I'm very transparent, probably sometimes more than you really want me to be. And I'm going to tell you things about me that are going to make you uncomfortable because I don't want you to hear it from somebody else. I want you to hear it from me, and I want you to believe that those are my trials. But everybody has temptations. Everybody has something in their life that they fight with on a daily basis. I was listening this morning before I came to church, and on Sunday morning they're showing the Tennessee lottery and what a great gift it is to be able to give back money to pay for education. Now, I'm not totally against gambling. I'm not saying that if you gamble it's wrong. What I'm saying is they don't show you the whole story. Because gambling might be one of my temptations. It might be something that I can't hold back on. My family may be suffering because I feel like I have to buy a certain amount of lottery tickets every week. So there are temptations out there that are thrown in front of us and help to pull us under the bus. And without a survival kit, we're not going to make it. We're just not going to make it. Now, one of my favorite mantras is, very few people fail at life. Very few people really fail at life. People struggle along the way, but you don't really fail at life. And my other mantra is, you can't fail if you don't quit. It's when you quit that you fail. So watching people struggle is very interesting. Now, it's not like the little, squirrel on the road that's had its tail run over and it's not that kind of watching people be in pain. It's more of watching how they recover from it. When you're around Christians, when I'm around Christians, I see them calling each other. I see them saying, will you pray for my family? Can you come and be with me? I'm scared. That's the hardest thing to say to somebody. Can you come and be with me? I'm scared. I'm an adult. I shouldn't be afraid of anything, right? I have everything that I need. What could I be afraid of? But as a Christian, a survival kit comes with friends. It comes with pastors, it comes with counselors, it comes with Christians, it comes with non-Christians, it comes with a lot of different things in your survival kit that you may or may not ever call on, but you know it's there. But you can tell a non-Christian pretty easy when they're struggling, because that's when they come to church. Isn't that strange? I had someone say to me the other day, whenever everybody becomes a Christian when they die. What does that mean? Well, because as soon as you die, you want a pastor at your funeral and you want it put in the newspaper that you're associated with the church. Well, if it didn't matter to you before, why would it matter to you then? You see, they're pulling out their survival kit at the last minute. They were just barely surviving the rest of the time. They didn't have the opportunity to truly live in their kingdom and reign over it the way God wants us to. We're not supposed to be here to listen. We're supposed to be here to participate. When our pastor gets up and speaks, he's giving us tools to go out into the world and help people. He is strengthening us and giving us gifts to put into our survival kit to say, I think I can help you with that. My pastor talked about this. I know where to go find it in the Bible. I know who we can call on. I know what we can do to get through this together. The songs we sing here are not just songs. It's not like kindergarten songs. They're serious. There's a message in every song that we sing to tell you that you are given the gifts of Christ and that you can take them with you and share them with people. Vacation Bible School, the children are invited to bring other children in. It doesn't matter if you go to church. We want to equip you to live in your wild kingdom, whether you created it or someone else gave it to you. One of my wild kingdoms in my former past was an abusive marriage, okay? Very abusive, like pushed out of moving vehicles abusive, left in foreign countries abusive. I lived in a different wild kingdom at that time, and I was not equipped. I didn't have a church. I didn't have anyone to call in the middle of Europe when I was deserted. Now, Europe or America or just Clarksville, when you have that feeling of being desolate and being so far removed and you're not sure exactly how anyone's going to respond when you tell them about your kingdom that you created because you married that person or because you gambled away your money or because you couldn't resist your temptation today, when you get to that point in your life, who are you going to call? See, if you're not a Christian, you don't know who to call. There's a lot of people out there, and I worked in an environment recently with people who had burnt every bridge behind them and had nowhere to live. While I was at the clothing giveaway, I held a 4-day-old baby who's homeless. How can you be homeless at 4 days old? And everybody looked around at me going, are you kidding me that she's homeless? Yes, her mother has nowhere to live because she's a difficult person to live with. She's burnt every bridge there is. That's the kingdom she created, and she doesn't know how to get out of it. Every time someone offers her a hand, she pulls them down with her. She doesn't have a survival kit yet. It's not that it hasn't been given to her. Everybody that she goes to for help always are Christians. Every Christian organization I've been involved in, this woman shows up at the door for the first thing that we give away, but she's not giving what we give away the most for free, which is the gifts of God and the blessings. She doesn't get that part yet. She's not ready to receive it. Now, I'm not saying that if you receive God and you become a Christian, your life's going to be perfect, you're going to be rich, you're going to live in a big mansion, your kingdom's not going to have any Jack Hannahs or feeding sharks or any of it. I'm not saying that. My life is not perfect. I still have my same trials every day, but I have a survival kit. I have my pastor on speed dial. I will call him. He doesn't like it when I do, but I will call him and say, I need some help. Now, I'm one who waits late. So when I call for help, pretty desperate measures are needed because I try to fix it myself, still. But I'm telling you, I never can. I never can fix anything without the help of God. And if I would just learn to go to Him first, I would struggle less. But for some reason, I got into the old habit when I wasn't a Christian of thinking I could fix it. Well, I can't. My kingdom is still wild, just like everyone else's. You know, I have a busy life. I have a lot of things going on a day-to-day basis, just like all of you. And even though your day may be full of physical activity, mine may be more full of mental activity or vice versa. But I will say that we all live in our own kingdom. We all have something right behind us chasing us. We have something in front of us that we're running after. We have things that we're starving for and that we hunger for. And we have things that are too much for us. We have places where the grass have grown over the top and we can't get through it. But with the survival kit that's given here in church for free, we are here as Christians to help each other. Don't be afraid to come and tell me what you've done wrong or tell me that you need help because I've probably already done it or I know somebody else who's done it and it doesn't matter to me. We as Christians are each other's survival kit. And we're not going to make it without each other. Now, if somebody slaps you with a fish, I don't know how I'm going to handle that. I probably won't do real well with that. If someone throws their shoe at you, it might be a little bit shocking to me. But out in the kingdom, in the real world, we're going to continue to have trials every day. People become ill. We ask why. Why that one? My cousin passed away this past week in riding his four-wheeler. He's 50. You're riding a four-wheeler at 50 and fall off of it? Really? How could you have done that at 50? He was enjoying his life. You see, he had built his kingdom around extreme sports. I was okay with that until I started thinking about his 4 children that have never been to church. What is happening in their kingdom right now? They live in a small town in Kansas. Has some church gone and found them and said, it's okay. We're here for you. You see, that's what we're here for. That's part of our survival kit. I want to be a part of your survival kit. I'm here to serve you. That's my whole life. I can't do anything if you don't tell me what you need. But don't come here expecting. Come here giving and learning and understanding that you're not alone in the trials of life. You're not out there in a wild kingdom alone. And the pain that you have, whatever it's caused by, is real. And we're here as a family to be together. And there's nothing that we can't get through together. There's nothing we can't get through together. So today, as you go back out into the world, into your wild kingdom, as you go out and suffer the trials of life and feel like you're going to get eaten by the truck behind you that's following too close, or your debt collector calls, or your doctor calls and gives you bad news, or whatever happens over the next week until you get back here, remember that you have a survival kit. You are not alone. I like to think I'm not alone. I will call you if I need you. I'll tell you who I am. I'll give you my number. But I'm going to call you if I need you. I recently formed a board of directors for the fuel program, and it was difficult for me to do that because it was like handing my baby over to another group of people and saying, help me raise this child. But you see, the fuel program was never mine, it was ours. It belongs to a community of people who have raised it up to what it is through the prayers of Christ and God and all of the blessings that have come upon it. And yet it was still difficult for me to hand this over to the board of directors and say, I've done all I can do. I want you to help me grow it. And as I selected the people and took recommendations of who to be on the board of directors, I had a lot of people say, you want the wealthiest people in Clarksville. You want people who are going to give money. And I prayed and prayed and prayed on it. And do you know what? That's not who I wanted. I wanted those with the least. I wanted those who will work the hardest to give back. Now, I'm not saying that the wealthy don't give and all of that, but I don't want to use people on that board of directors. I want to have a survival kit of real people